I am fully exposing myself today. Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here or you've just come across me, my name is Mel. I myself am very new to the whole YouTube scene, but I want to specialize in health, fitness and lifestyle type of content. And in fact, I'm trialing a very different type of video today where it's more of a sit down talk about a dedicated topic. So let me know what you think, and if you're into that, either way, it's totally fine. We're just experimenting and trying some different things and we'll be able to go from there. But as you could probably tell by the title of this video, today we're talking about habits, and in particular bad habits and what we can do to sort of change them and cultivate some more positive ones. So the real purpose and inspiration behind this video is for anyone who just feels like they're stuck in a bit of a rut or just a low feeling of vibration or mood or motivation. This video is definitely for you because I feel like I've very much been in a similar sort of rut myself. And I don't know about you, but when I want to make change or improve a situation for myself, especially when it comes to mental health and things like that, I just feel like all the advice sometimes can be very like vague and just like just think more positive or drink more water, and you're kind of like, oh, of course, why wouldn't I think of that already? And you just feel like those things just aren't enough to make enough of a difference. That's why in today's video I just want to implement really practical, simple but effective advice to really help you if you feel like you're in a similar rut, to just help lift you out of it. A lot of the things that I'll touch on as well is a lot of strategies that I used myself this time last year. I was in a very not a good place. I just wasn't feeling like myself at all. I was feeling very low and just didn't have a lot of hope or motivation for my future as well. And I really implemented a lot of things that really turned that situation around for me and has set me up to have a really great year this year. And at this point of the year, now being sort of like early September, the past like month or so, I've noticed similar thoughts and feelings sort of creeping back in. So even though I don't feel anywhere near as bad or as low as what I did last year, I'm just sort of catching those things out. And I just feel like it's that time of year where it feels really good to sort of sit down, reassess where you're at, try and nip any bad habits in the bud so that we can finish the rest of the year strong and just be set up to start the year in a great position for next year as well. So I've cultivated a bit of a list of things that I feel like to me are my bad habits. Of course, this is going to look so different for everyone, but it's more so if there are things in here that you feel like you have slipped into doing yourself and you haven't kind of realized it, because sometimes bad habits can be so subtle like that. They're just like the little tiny things that we do in our day that we don't think are a big deal, but actually they make a big difference to the way we think and the way we behave and just overall the way we operate. So if you sort of recognize any of these in yourself, I hope that can bring some insight and it can also inspire you to make some simple changes. And this is not just to talk shit about myself and be like a dig at myself in a way as well. Yes, it's acknowledging the bad habits, but we're also going to talk about what we can do instead to build more positive habits, instead to reframe that a bit. All right, so bad habit number one, and I'm sure many of you are going to feel personally attacked by this too, but it's going on your phone and social media immediately as you wake up. And I feel like that might be a very obvious one or one that we've heard all the time, and I honestly just didn't think it was that big of a deal or it didn't make that much of a difference, but it is something that definitely compounds, because from the moment you're waking up and you're already processing so much information, you're already seeing other things that are happening in the world, you're already starting to see what other people are doing and then subconsciously comparing yourself to that as well. So it's a lot of information. It's kind of the way, the first kind of thoughts that you're having for the day really. And I always told myself, because I wake up very early, for me going on my phone looking at it, because to be honest, when you wake up early, it's really, really hard and you feel really, really tired. So my excuse was, or the way I justified it to myself, was that looking at my phone first thing in the morning helped me wake up, like helped switch my brain on, like the blue light from the screen and the phone would just sort of make me feel more awake. So that's why I was like, oh, this is fine, like this is okay to do. So on your phone, see what's happening, wake up a bit, and then you're good. But then as a consequence of that, I would end up wasting easily 10 to 15 minutes of the day just like being on my phone, because I'd just get sucked into the scrolling pattern. And yeah, it's just like such a waste of time. So then for the rest of the day, or sorry, not the rest of the day, but just like the rest of the morning, I feel like I'm then rushing to do all the things I need to do to feel ready in time. You're already infiltrated by everything else that's happening and what everyone else is doing as well, which isn't the best way to start, I feel. So that is my bad habit number one, and something that I've really actively been trying to work on not doing. It's taken a lot of discipline, because I guess in the morning when you're tired and you don't feel like super motivated straight away, that's just something you want to do to sort of just get your brain going. But I've really had to wake up and tell myself, no, you don't need to do that. You just need to get up straight away and get going. And as soon as you do that, you will start waking up. And I've sort of noticed as the days have gone on, I've sort of craved needing to do that a little bit less every day, because I guess you're just forming a new habit in a way. So what you would have seen before is a bit of a snippet of a new morning routine I'm trying to do. When I first wake up, yes, I go on my phone to check my body temperature for my cycle tracking. So I do go on an app to log that information, but again, it's not social media. I really keep off that completely. And then from there, I go do my skincare, sit down on the couch and start doing a gratitude journal, which is what I'm also using this booklet for too. So I try and fill at least an entire page of just random things that I feel really grateful for that day. And when I first started doing that too, I was like, how am I going to fill an entire page? Like, it just feels like so much that I have to think about, but it just comes more naturally to you as you go. And it can be the most simple, basic things, and just acknowledging all the good that you have in your life as well just sort of resets your energy and just puts you in a more of a like abundant vibration as well. And you're looking for the good in the day already, and you just start off the day feeling really blessed and really lucky. And I think that's such a nice feeling too. Next bad habit, not drinking enough water. I am bloody shocking when it comes to this, and it's so ironic because it's one of the basic human needs that we have, and yet I just forget to do it all the time. And that's not necessarily the bad part about it. The bad part about it as well is in the afternoon, where I start feeling that real crash of energy and I feel a little bit dehydrated, which is, I bloody wonder why. I reach for soft drink or like Coke instead to have, which then at least I'm having something, but then it also further dehydrates me. And at the end of the night, I just always feel just like so depleted and dehydrated. And then I remember I barely had any water for the day. So that is one thing that I'm trying to do much better at, especially being in a deficit as well. I feel like having a soft drink, especially like a Coke Zero, because it has no calories in it as well. It's a really great way to have something sweet that's not also blowing out your calorie as well, particularly at a time of day where you feel like snacking on things too. So I'm trying not to resort to that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having Coke or Coke Zero or soft drink and the like. It's only a problem if you're not hydrating yourself properly with water, which should be the number one priority. Bad habit number 4 is sleep hygiene and going to bed too late. I am also shocking for this too. And I don't know if anyone else is like this, but as soon as I wake up in the morning and I feel so incredibly tired, often my first thought is, I cannot wait to go back to sleep tonight. I'm just going to really look forward to getting to bed and just sleeping again, because that's what I really feel like doing in that moment. But then, because I end up staying up too late, I go on my phone, I'm on my laptop, I'm doing things, I then fall into the trap of staying up too late again, and then I go to bed too late, and then that kind of feeds into the cycle of not getting enough sleep and then feeling really tired again in the morning. And it's just a very tricky, vicious thing to get caught up in. And I feel like a big part of it is when I feel tired in the morning, obviously I get up and just go. But I feel like if I have pockets in my day where I haven't felt productive or I've wasted time because I've just felt a bit low energy, low motivation, low concentration, I feel like I haven't earned being able to like switch off and rest. I'll then try and compensate for that by working like around dinner time or just before bed. I'll like do some social media things for the company that I work for and things like that to kind of make up for not feeling productive earlier that day. But then what that does is wire me up even further, and then I put off going to bed until I have achieved a certain amount of things, and then the next day wake up tired and the cycle just ensues. We know that for basic human health we should be getting between 7 to 8, 9 at the upper end if you really like your sleep, but 7 to 8 is like the ideal amount for sleep to feel really healthy. And I'm definitely averaging probably 6 consistently, which is just having a big flow and effect as well. So one thing that I'm trying to get better at and create the new habit of is trying to switch off all screens at about 7:30. For the time that I get up, I should really be in bed asleep by 8:39. So that way, if I'm switching everything off by 7:30, reducing the exposure to blue light, which I feel like is so tricky sometimes, because one of the ways that we like, or you might not be like this, but one way that I like to switch off and slow down is by, watching some YouTube or watching some TV shows that are enjoyable. But you are just getting that exposure from screens and digital products still. So trying to switch everything off by 7:30, have something on while I'm having dinner, but once dishes are done, no more phones, no more screens, obviously set the alarms and stuff, but try and get into bed and do some reading instead. And another good habit that I've been trying to implement off the back of that as well. So when I switch my screens off at 7:30, which is the bad habit there I'm trying to break, the good one is trying to spend a bit more time getting organized for the next day. So this will look like not only taking my meal prep out of the fridge, but trying to prepare all my snacks and things like that for work the night before, so that I don't feel like I get really rushed trying to put that all together in the morning as well. Just all those little things, making sure that they're all ready to go, making sure I've picked out my activewear for the following day for the gym, making sure that I've got all my work items in my bag ready to go, so that in the morning that whole process just feels a lot more smoother and stress-free too. Alrighty, bad habit number 5, which is I think what we're up to. I've lost track at this point. But habit number 5, indecisiveness. And I know that might sound very vague or very non-specific, but basically this refers to any decisions that you're sort of on the fence of. You're sort of half in, half out, but haven't fully jumped on board with one thing or the other. And when you sort of sit on the fence like that, it's a very sort of sticky, icky sort of space to be in, because you feel like you're very stagnant and you're not actually moving forward with anything. You're just sort of staying in the same space essentially. And I feel like when you get into a rut, or you get into a bit of a lower state where you feel like you're not achieving much, it's because you're not taking actions on certain things. So, and it's hard to be specific with that one, because obviously that's going to look so different for everyone. Everyone has so many different decisions and paths and things that they are taking. But basically this is just a sign. If there's something that you're sitting on the fence with, or there's something that you're thinking about doing, you're not 100% happy where you are, there's an idea that you have, just jump in and try it and just make a decision on it and do it. So Jane, who I work with, explained this so perfectly when it comes to decision making. If you feel very hesitant or paralyzed around that, is that when it comes to any decision, first think about the consequence or the other side of that. If there is very little risk or consequence with that decision, just make it. Just because once you make something, you'll then know where to go next. And if you need to correct something, it's fine. You can easily do it. At least you can move forward with something. Obviously, if the decision has a bit of a trickier or bigger consequence, that's when you want to consider and take your time with it a little bit more to make sure that it's something that you're really sure of. But yeah, if it's just like the little micro decisions, just make them, just keep moving forward, and then just course correct as you go. At least you're getting somewhere doing that. And the mental energy that gets taken up with just considering and contemplating and feeling conflicted over something, you just don't realize how much mental energy and load that takes up. So I guess my personal example of this is what the bloody hell I'm going to do with my career and my career path, I guess. I've been very backwards and forwards on which way I want to go, and just not sure what feels right and what's the right thing to do and all that sort of stuff. And it's really something that I felt very conflicted about for the past year, probably year and a half really. Just feeling like what I was doing wasn't 100% it for me, but also not knowing what direction to go in next. So now I'm just trying shit. I'm literally picking up a camera and I'm just filming. I'm just trying to do different things and not really worrying about what the right thing to do is necessarily, but more so what feels good. And leading with the feeling of it rather than worrying about what's right and wrong, because often things aren't going to be right or wrong. It's always going to be what comes down to what feels best for you. Alrighty, bad habit number 6, people pleasing. For all the people pleasers out there, you'll absolutely know this one will definitely hit home. This is very much one that I just always get pulled back into, and it's almost just like my default. Like anytime that I want to do something, I'll always consider it from another person's point of view, or how it will impact them, or what it will mean to them, before I think about what it means to myself. And more often than not, I always choose the other person, and it's just it just feels natural for me to do that, I guess. But that's just something that I've really tried to stop doing, and put myself first a lot more, which feels, and this is the thing, you do it to make yourself feel better, but in the moment it kind of feels icky or very like against your nature. And I think that's a very hard thing to sort of push through at first. It's almost like putting other people first makes you feel less guilty and makes you feel better about yourself, but it also comes at the detriment of yourself. Sometimes that can look like to your health, or just feeling too busy and overwhelmed in general. But yeah, it's a very, very strange one. And I guess humans are self-serving creatures, so we're always ultimately looking after ourselves first and doing things in our best interest. And often for people pleasers, it's kind of masked by looking like we're doing things for other people, but really we are protecting our own feelings, because we're trying to avoid guilt, we're trying to avoid looking bad or selfish, and that's the motivation for doing it in the first place, is to serve ourselves and protect ourselves from those feelings. So I think if you can remember that, that ultimately being people pleasing is still serving a need within yourself too, and just sort of addressing why that is and why it's there too. So yeah, I've really taken big steps this year to sort of keep things off my plate and just keep things very simple for myself. And I guess like with the nature of my work as well is very much serving other people and holding space for other people too, and you do need to reserve a lot of energy for that as well. So that's really been something that I've been trying to focus on, and just not trying to take on too much. And yeah, I feel like it does feel icky, and it feels almost wrong to do it, but just remembering that you need to do it for the long-term benefits of it. And something that I just try and reiterate to myself all the time and just remind myself of: if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive and it's not worth doing. So that is always the first priority. And the final bad habit that I'm trying to rewire and let go of is holding on to things that no longer serve you. And again, I know that probably sounds like a very vague and non-specific one as well, but that's because it's going to look different for everyone. Things that you're holding on to that aren't necessarily bringing you a lot of joy or fulfillment, but you sort of feel obligated to keep doing them as well, they're probably long-term doing you more harm than good. And again, I feel like that can be a hard distinction to make, because it's still important to do things even when you don't feel like doing them, especially if they're leading to a longer term goal or a really important outcome for you. But if the outcome isn't actually something that you want anymore, it's almost like, what's the point of doing it, especially if it's at the detriment to yourself? And my personal example of that was sort of reframing my career and where I wanted to sort of go in that direction. And I actually decided to take a massive step back from coaching, especially face-to-face coaching this year, which I've sort of been implementing in the last 2 to 3 months. And again, relating back to the point on indecisiveness and just not making a decision and being kind of stuck in limbo, being half in, half out. That's very much how I felt with coaching as well. I was half in that I showed up relentlessly for the clients that I did have, but I was half out because I was wanting to not really put myself out there to try and build on that and get more clients as well, because I was sort of subconsciously protecting my energy. And when I really thought about it and like why I was kind of like sabotaging myself in that way and not actually putting out there what I could do and trying to build on that, I came to the conclusion that that type of role and that type of lifestyle and career wasn't something that I really genuinely wanted. It was more something that I kind of fell into doing on the back of doing my nutrition degree, and going to personal training sort of just like made sense as two parts of the same equation, and it was something that felt good at the time. But sort of the deeper I went into it, I sort of realized that it isn't something that I really want to do long term. And for a while there, one thing that stopped me from taking action on that was genuinely not knowing like where to go next or what to do next. And yeah, just spending so much time, like over a year, feeling conflicted on that. It just weighs so heavy on your heart and on your head as well. But I do feel so much better for just making a decision. And the way I sort of got there as well was I thought about Again, coming back to the indecisiveness and making a decision, evaluating what the consequence of it was, and then realizing that that is actually very easily corrected, and we can easily go back to it if I did change my mind on that. So I guess if I did decide to stop coaching altogether down the track in 6 months, worst case scenario, I realize, oh shit, I actually do really miss that, or I actually did enjoy it more than I realized at the time, I can go back in. There's nothing stopping me from going back in. Sure, I may not be able to work with the exact same pool of clients that I've got right now who are absolutely incredible, because of course they will move on and do what they need to for themselves, which is totally fine. But I can go back in, and I've got all the qualifications there. I have all the experience there as well. So there's nothing stopping me from doing that in the future. And when I sort of realized that was the worst case scenario, so like, we just got to make a decision, try something different, see how it feels, and just go from there. So if that is also you, and you feel like you're stuck in a place or a situation or a career that you just know isn't serving you anymore, and the way you'll be able to know that is it will just feel more depleting to you than it will feel fulfilling and inspiring, because every single job and career has its downsides and the boring parts and the things that aren't as fun, absolutely, and it's definitely important to push through, but if it's not actually attached to a long-term goal or a bigger outcome for you, it's sort of like there is no point in putting yourself through that. So just know that it is okay to let go of things when they're not working for you, and that it is totally fine to put yourself first. So take this as your sign. Let go of what isn't serving you anymore and serve yourself. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this video, all the bad habits that I sort of fallen into and what I'm trying to correct and now reframe with some more positive ones. But yeah, basically it's just anytime where you're feeling low or in a low mood, feeling sorry for yourself is honestly one of the worst things that you can do. No one's coming to save you. It's always you that's got to take action and actively work on improving things at the end of the day. And all those small things that you do, and that's all we're trying to do at the end of the day, is all those little things that we creep into doing that don't serve us long term are just short-term comforts. We're just trying to comfort ourselves in the moment. So as soon as you can realize that, and when it comes to implementing those new things, realize that they're for a greater purpose or they're for long-term benefit, and that can really help to spur you on to. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this video. Let me know what you thought of this style. If you like the more sit down chat about a certain topic type of style. And yeah, if not, we can definitely do something different. But I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you got a lot of value out of it. I hope you were able to recognize some things and feel inspired to change some things within your own life as well, because obviously I want everyone to feel healthy and happy and like they can be the best versions of themselves too. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's any bad habits that you maybe have at the moment, or any new habits that you're already trying to implement, because I'd love to have some inspo myself and to read about what you're doing. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.